I have Mary Hart on the line, and my main goal during this whole interview is to tell you what Krogering is, Mary.
Do you have Kroger stores there?
We sure do.
I had to laugh the other night when that came out in the script. I had never heard of Kroger's.
Yeah.
And when I did the same thing everybody else did, a double take when we heard at the top of the show, we say, well, can't go Krogering without makeup. And I turned to Rob, and he said, you never heard of Kroger's? And I said, no, Humpty Dumpty, Piggly Wiggly, Safeway, Ralph's, whatever, but not Kroger. So now I know.
They had a big campaign where they say, let's go Krogering for the best of everything, including the price. So
look at how smart. They got national attention this way.
Yeah. Well, they didn't know they were going to, but thanks to some Nashville singer.
That's right.
There it is. You're from the Midwest, aren't you?
I sure am. I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as a matter of fact.
Los Angeles was a long way away for you.
Well, it really was, and I took a bit of a circuitous route to get here. I was born in South Dakota, and I lived there until I was 8, then moved abroad, spent 10 years in Europe with my family, came back to Sioux Falls and graduated from Augustana College there and got my degree in English and worked both as a high school English teacher and in television my first 3 years out of college. Then went to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Oklahoma City for 3.5 years, and in '79 moved to Los Angeles.
Did you have in the back of your mind the goal to go into television?
You know what? It was, yes, definitely in the back of my mind, Ken, but so far back I didn't even dare admit it. I didn't have the guts to pursue it because I really, I had always enjoyed performing on stage. I had always enjoyed being an entertainer. But it wasn't until I was Miss South Dakota in 1970 and was a guest on a number of shows, talk shows, both radio and TV, that I said, wait a minute, this looks like it would be interesting to do. And that's what sort of spurred my curiosity and ultimately propelled me into the type of work that I do now.
Mm-hmm. It's a different kind of a show. It's a fast-paced show. You get one story on, get right into another one, and while you're talking about entertainment, it's actually sort of entertainment itself, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way. It really has to be a blend of both entertainment, news, and entertainment. Because I think people, particularly with our show, you're right, it's fast-paced. That's because people get spoiled. Attention spans get shorter. There's a lot of information to give them as well every single night. And it's the kind of situation where you have to be slick, but you have to be accurate, too.
Mm-hmm. But if you were really kind of laid back and said, and now here's Michael Jackson. You have to, but by being fast-paced, it makes it look exciting, too.
Yeah. I just happen to, what you see of me on that show is basically what you get when I'm not on the show, too. I've always been a highly energized person, and, it's a perfect situation for me. I have enjoyed it for the 2 years I've been on, and now that I'm working with Rob, he also has spent a number of years doing talk shows in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And, we have an awful lot of fun on the set, and again, a lot of high energy.
I have to ask you this, because I don't get a chance to catch the show every night, but what happened with Ron?
Well, basically, it comes down to a contract dispute. I don't think that Paramount had intentions of letting him go, nor do I think Ron had any intentions of leaving the show. But when it got right down to bottom line dollars, apparently they couldn't agree, and so he was replaced.
Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of pressure?
Well, I think when you look at that renegotiation process, there ends up being a lot of pressure. But on a day-to-day basis, yeah, there is a lot of pressure, Ken, but you have to ignore it. I mean, it's a national show.
Yeah.
You know that there are lots and lots of people. I'm going to say, I should personalize it and say, I know there are thousands of people who would give their eye teeth to have my job.
Right. And does that bother you, especially when you have a bad day? Of course, the thing is taped, I suppose. So if you really make a big mess up, it's not like being on the air live, is it?
Yeah, but Ken, we never make big mistakes.
Of course not.
Yes, of course we do make a lot of mistakes, but no, on a daily basis like that, I'm never in fear of losing my job. But it's a matter of overall, first of all, it's most important to me to enjoy what I do. But secondly, there is a disposability or dispensability factor in this business that you have to be aware of. Once you acknowledge it, then you have to go on and not think about that. Because it's something that can be very depressing. When you look at stars who are here today and gone tomorrow all the time, both in movies and in all kinds of television situations, the numbers, the statistics of people who succeed, the small percentage is phenomenal.
Yeah. Did you get mail from the very beginning? I think you do a terrific job. Let me say you that right off the top. I think you always look friendly. You look like you're excited about it. You're very attractive and very intelligent from what we're able to tell and what I'm able to tell so far on the phone. So,
I love to fool everybody.
but did it take a while for people to really catch on to you? Because as I recall, you were not the first female host of the show either.
No, as a matter of fact, I was the third. Marjorie Wallace was the first female co-anchor of Entertainment Tonight. That was 3 years ago when it went on the air. And then Dixie Watley replaced Marjorie. I guess that was about 3 months after they went on the air. And it wasn't until the summer of '79, about 9 months after the show had gone on, that I came in and started as a weekend anchor and reporter and ended up being placed with Ron on the weekday show, and then Dixie and Steve Edwards started doing the weekend show.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem to take very long for people to catch on.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine people tiring of you all that quickly. Like you say, we tire so easily. I think the average stand-up comedian, can expect maybe 7 years national exposure if he ever gets that far, or if she ever gets that far.
Well, it's real important, I think, not to be overexposed within a format, especially when you're on 5 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you've got to you've got to make sure that there's a consistency in your personality, that it's not either too serious or too light.
Or too forced, maybe, if you're not really yourself.
Certainly not forced. No, I think, I believe that people can see if you're uncomfortable, even if you have a nice smile on your face, or if you're tense, real uptight, or if you're an unpleasant person. Ultimately, I believe people can sense it, even if they may not be able to verbalize exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. I think you're absolutely right. That camera shows things that you're almost unaware of sometimes.
Yeah, same thing with relationships.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When it comes to covering stories, obviously it's a show that's produced by Paramount, right? Do they have a tendency, or who takes the editorial license to go out and dig up the stories? Do you get any feeling that you're better off doing a story on a movie that Paramount makes versus Warner Brothers or someone else?
No, they've been very good about keeping it separate and about not imposing their wishes for publicity on the show. It would have been a tremendous threat to our credibility had we showed favoritism to Paramount. Just as we cover stories of, behind the scenes of movies that happen to be Paramount's, we also cover the elements that we may be critical of. This whole shuffling. We had to cover the Ron Hendren story. I read that story on the air when Paramount's chairman of the board decided to switch studio heads, and there's been an incredible executive shuffle going on out here at the studios. Those were stories that we covered. When Paramount lost money on the Diana Ross concert, they weren't particularly pleased about it, but we did the story. So it goes both ways. And I think one of the really important factors about our show is the fact that we have, after 3 years, finally gained a great deal of respectability and credibility within the industry. And we can't afford to threaten that.
Right, because, you say, if you lose that credibility or that honestness.
If they say, well, they're playing favorites with Paramount Studios, da-da-da-da-da, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And I guess that's true of every news operation. I was just wondering, is it primarily on NBC that you're seeing, or I don't know how the show is actually put on?
No, it's syndicated, so it has different affiliates all over the country.
And they each get it by satellite, I suppose.
Yes, right. We tape the show every morning. In fact, I just got home, finished taping tonight's show, and it is sent via satellite at 12:30 our time, which would mean 2:30 your time for air that night.
Okay. Well, over here we get it on NBC primarily, and I keep watching every week. You talk about the week's leading shows, and I'm thinking, well, it's always nice if NBC winds up on top, but it must be kind of hard to report if it's CBS or ABC. But now I know it doesn't make any difference. Yeah,
it really doesn't to us, and it's kind of nice not to have that network affiliation.
Yeah.
For that reason alone. NBC's finally picking up some points there.
Yeah. Turning it around. Mary Hart, pleasure to visit with you, and all the best. We hope that you have a long and successful career in television, because I think you're very good at what you do.
Ken, I sure appreciate that support, and I have enjoyed doing this with you. Let's try to talk again.
I would love to.
Thank you.